I'm actually going to take this opportunity and thank all the candidates because I've not had to say your time's up. You're all very well trained to the bell. And when the bell goes, you all sit down. That's brilliant.
80 days young.
So the next question is going to be about superannuation. The question that I've got here is, United Future have proposed in the past to give people the option of choosing to have a reduced rate of super at 60 or keep working and obtain an increased rate at 70. What do you think of this proposal? Mr. Davis.
Right, one of the problems around superannuation is that Māori pass away before they get to 65. And I've got uncles that passed away before 65. So there's the issue around raising the age of superannuation. And I think that we need to separate that from actually the health issue about why Māori pass away before they get to 65. We are looking at a whole range of issues to support superannuitants. We're looking at a whole range of issues around aged care, because the people who work in aged care are the least well-paid people in society, looking after our most vulnerable, the people we should be caring the most about, that is our aged. So there's a number of policies around the aged care that Labour are going to implement come 20th of September. There's a number of issues around making sure that people actually get to 65.
Kia tātou, hea te mea nui o tēnei au. He tangata, mārama no e rā kōrero. You know, as a young buck, we look at our karaua and we value all the mahi that they've done. And believe it or not, I'm sure they get a bit of a kick when they get their put down. But you know, my Indiana taximan driver, he says to me, oh, I can't wait till ka pake ke rano ono te kaumarima, I've got it sweet. And you mahara paikare, how could that happen? At the end of the day, we value our kaumātua, Māori Pāti, our kaumātua nā pakeke, nā veterans, nā korau nā koe i whai koha ki tō tātou reanga. So as Matua Calvin talks about valuing our people and looking at their age range bracket, e mana kaumātua who I think are 31, 32, a whakaro nei, but a tinana nei a hauora he rereke anō. So how can we put a cap or age on ai, ka whiwhi pūtena te me he koro heke koe, ai, a me manaki mātou i a koe. E whakatairanga ra mātou te ira tangata.
We don't actually have a policy position on superannuation, but what I'd like to say is that what we're essentially arguing about is, or we're debating is all the different ways that we can slice the pie. And if our low complexity, low wage economy, what we're seeing is the symptoms of a low complexity, low wage economy, where we basically have one pie and we just trying to slice it up in different ways to keep everyone happy. What we're about is increasing the size of the pie. So we need to be diversifying. We need to be creating high wages for our young people, so that our young people aren't going to be able to look after their parents in their old age with the current job situation and the way the economy is. We need a high value, complex and diversified, innovation-based economy. And then these kind of problems, this kind of debate about how we slice the pie won't be because the pie will be big.
Thank you.
Got it right.
Look, I just want to endorse what Kelvin said. You know, we've got a problem here in that so many people don't even make it to get superannuation. And Labour's policy is to lift the superannuation rate to 67. Now that might seem on its own to be crazy when people aren't even making it that far. But I think it's got to be looked at. We've got to look at the health issues as well. And again, you know, that's something that needs to be addressed, because until we start having equality in terms of age for Māori and Pākehā, then we're going nowhere. We shouldn't even be talking about superannuation, I reckon. We've got to make sure that we've got equity. And you look at the simple things like life expectancy and health outcomes, and we've got to make sure that we address those. And I think that that's when we start looking at whether or not we do things with super. But we've got to make the point that we've got the poorest people looking after the most vulnerable. What does that say about our older people? Eh?
We have a tsunami of older people coming towards us. That's the cycle of life, that's the demographics. How are we going to be able to provide services for them? How are we able to fiscally provide for these services when the tax base diminishes when they retire? That's a hard problem. It is going to happen. It's not as it's when. That's a hard problem. National anchors itself on two things: age of superannuation at 65 and the ratio at 66%. So here's a real differentiator. You heard Labor say they're going to go to 67. We're going to stay at 65. Why are we doing that? Because amongst other things, we want to open up the opportunities at the beginning stage of career, and by having people retire at 65, we're able to do that. There are three ways, therefore, that we can adjust the superannuation system. Three structural reforms. Change the age of eligibility. We're not going to do that. We want to stay at 65. You could give people less. So we pay 66% of the average wage. Australia does 50%. Yeah? How do you do that? Maybe means testing. We've done that, that's not a good thing. All that happens is people sell their houses, sell their capital to try and get under the superannuation cap. It doesn't make sense. There's more, but thank you.
Mr. Huddle.
Don't know why everybody's spewing around it. United Futures policy is bloody racist. It's as simple as that, and I'll show it to you. Say there's 100 Māoris in the room, right? Every single one of those 100 are paying tax every single day. But this 20 over here are the only ones who are going to benefit from that superannuation. Because 80% of them are going to bloody die before they get there. So when a prick like Peter Dunn says he's going to lift that superannuation age, all that means is of this 20, another 5 of them are going to die before they get the chance to benefit from it. Our policy is a simple one: drop the superannuation age for Māori, for workers and the poor, because they die early. Kia ora tata.
Probably get shut down for this, but I think a lot of health and well-being in Aotearoa and Northland particularly has to do with treaty justice issues. You know, how we see ourselves living in community with one another. So I'm a Pākehā saying we need to deal with treaty justice. You know, and that's it's not a really straightforward thing, but that's a journey we've got to be on together. You know what I mean? I've been really inspired by countries that live well long. And they're places where they respect Indigenous people and they love older people. It's a real honour to have an older person come to dinner, you know? And we're not doing that too good. Māori do it better than Pākehā, I say, and we've got a lot to learn. So it's about treaty justice and respect for Papa Tuanuku and getting back in touch. So that's it. Green Party policy is 65, maintaining that. It's all online, so have a look at the policy online, but that was just winging something there. Kia ora.
That's my mummy over there. Her dad was 49, his brother was 47, his other brother was 54. We had lucky, I had one nanny that made it to 60. The mark of any civilized society is based on the way that they treat their young and their old. We believe in the... we believe that it's up to our superannuants to decide what's good for them. There should be a community-based question, it should be a referendum. We are on the whakaaro that we should leave it. And in fact, we hold on to the whakaaro that for Māori it should be reduced. And it should be reduced to 60, and all the money that you get at 70 should be given to you at 60. And so I can see my nannies and my papas a little bit longer, because like what Papa Hore said, she's an ugly story. Leave it as it is. Look after our old people. Vote deal up, get through.